Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dr. Chris Featherstone. We're here for yet another episode of Inside SKoop, man. This person, one of my favorite people to interview, he's just got a wealth of information spanning 40 plus years now, man. He's been in so many of the most pivotal matches in pro wrestling history, including my all-time favorite match, Great American Bash, 1990. Sting, a young kid, surfer Sting, having his opportunity to go against the franchise player, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And guess who the third man in that ring was? Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it. This guy right here, Nick Patrick. How are you tonight, my man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on again.
Always a pleasure, man. So let's take right into that, man. I recently watched that again, and that's actually my favorite match, my all-time favorite match. Was huge. Sting's my all-time favorite wrestler. I was a huge Sting fan even back then. I remember as a kid, just like, man, there was just something large in life about Sting and the yelling and the surfer and the beach boy, the beach blonde. It was larger than life, man. I love it.
He generated electricity.
He did, man. He did. And I loved his music. The dun 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 dun. It was just like, it was electric. It was amazing, man. And watching that match again, I mean, it's been years since I watched that match, and I recently watched it again, man. And I felt the same way I did, nearly 31 years ago, just watching it. And I was just like, this right here, man, I was looking at it and I was like, see, this right here is what wrestling's all about, man. It's the character, it's the story. They brought back the story back from February, but even before that in January, this all really started and ignited in Clash of the Champions back in January of that year, when Sting got kicked out of the Horsemen. Then he got injured. Russell Ward Luger took his spot, and then he came back, and that was his first time back in 5-6 months.
Yeah, he looked great too. He took time off. He had time to rest his body up and train. He come back and he looked really good. I watched it earlier again too, and because I remembered the pay-per-view, but I didn't remember what all matches I had. So I went right to that one because I knew I had it. Yeah. And like early in the commentary, I heard Tony Schiavone say, "This is the only match Nick Patrick had on this pay-per-view because it was a special." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I didn't have to check any further back, and I wouldn't really have known because I remember those weren't guys that would sit and talk all day long about what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. They'd wait kind of to the last minute, but I had to be kind of ready, whenever they were. Yeah. So we kind of waited to the last minute, and they did their thing. And as you could tell because you could tell from that match that they had worked with each other a million times. Oh yeah, because that one was just, particularly that one was really just smooth, and it was like in some of the beginning matches you could tell when Flair and Sting. Some of the earlier matches from way previous before that, when they had first got together, and Sting hadn't quite got that experience level yet. And you could almost see sometimes Flair in the corner, like directed him, like when he wanted to go in the corner, come on, climb up the ropes, But it was just, this one was just really completely smooth and good good story, and they kept it moving, and it was really a pleasure to watch.
It was, man.
It brought me back too, because I hadn't been in 1990. I hadn't been back with WCW all that long. I had a really bad knee injury, and the doctors told me I'd never do anything athletic again. Just be happy to play with my kids and jog a little bit. And I didn't say lateral motion was gone. I go forward and backward really well, but left and right, the lateral motion is gone.
Yeah.
I could tell when I ref that match, and it was something that I did for a long time, and I had to consciously break myself of it. And you'll see a lot of my old matches. I walk out, I got my hand, I hold on to that rope. It was kind of like a safety latch for me, because I had no lateral motion, and I knew if I had to move real quick that I could move quicker if I pulled myself or pushed myself than I could if I just took off. Yeah, and it was like a safety net for me, and I had to. It took me a long time. I had to consciously break myself of walking around hanging onto that top rope with my hand. And I didn't really notice it when I was doing it. And then when I started watching it back, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, you were.
What am I afraid I'm going to fall down or what?
You were a nimble fellow, man, with all those baseball slides that you would do to.
That was a long time ago.
Get into that pitting position.
Now you'd have to take me to the hospital.
Yeah, you were nimble. You were a nimble fellow, man. And that's, to me, that even helped to me that just added a nice touch to how exciting the match was. And JR, him being in commentary, it was just incredible. And even
all the guys around the ring too, all the characters.
Yes, the dudes with attitudes.
And most of them in there are still with us. I know JYD's not still with us anymore, but I think pretty much everybody else. I know Orndorff is still with us. The Steiners looked incredible. Did you see how big?
Yes,
Steiners looked like just two monsters at that time.
Yeah,
they were incredible at that time.
Yeah, and they had El Gigante be chained up to Ole.
Yeah, chained up to Ole.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. I just think, just overall, it was just so many layers and elements that just fit so perfectly. Ole trying to come in, the Horsemen trying to come in, but the dudes with attitudes were there to save the day, to make sure there were no interference. Even Bob Caudle, doing the color. He played the color commentary role. He usually, he was a play-by-play guy a lot of times, but JR did most of the play-by-play in the match. But they were still fun together.
Yeah, you could tell the era of the business too by how the guys looked. Yes. They were. That was the time where promoters were buying big, jacked up, muscled up guys, and that's what everybody was striving to be. And WCW and WWE, they had their fill of both. Like I said, Sting looked great. He had to come back. That was one of his early comebacks because he's had several injuries. And later on in his career, when he come back, I think if you talk to Eric, there was a point in time where they were having a problem with him coming back, because every other time he'd come back, you had that rest up time, and he would be all pumped and jacked. But he'd come back that one last time, and he had gotten older. And I don't think that I don't think there was other things that were factors that were involved later in life that helped him recover as quickly as they do, and I think he had a change of lifestyle, and it showed. And I'll never forget it. He came back one time, and they had everybody called him the bogus Sting, but it was another kid that was Sting. It had a great body and looked and they used him in Japan a lot.
Yeah, Jeff Farmer.
Yes, but people was used to seeing him, and our real Sting was out for a while. And when he come back, he didn't look as young and as jacked as the other kid did. And he didn't get the reaction when he come out in the crowd that he wanted. And I think it created some problems, because every other time that he had to come back, he looked like he did in this match that we're talking about. He'd come back, he was tan, he was jacked, he was on fire. And the place was electric too when they switched the title there.
Man, I was getting goosebumps watching it, man. Just over 30 years later, and just the match was just so fun to watch.